New Orleans Saints, in my opinion, have failed Trevor Penning, at least up until this point of his young career. So, and this video isn't me defending, or advocating for Trevor Penning's ability as a player. It's more just calling out hypocrisy and incompetence from the coaching staff, in particular Dennis Allen, because he is the head honcho. At the end of the day, he calls the shots or is responsible for everything that his assistants do. So, everybody, every NFL team, the Saints, the media, scouts, even fans, everybody knew that coming out of college into the draft that Trevor Penning was as raw as you could possibly get as an offensive line prospect. He came from the University of Northern Iowa, a small school where he didn't play the best competition. And like I said, everybody knew that this guy was raw. All the teams knew that this guy was going to need to be developed, plain and simple, right? And even knowing that, the Saints still chose to select him with the 19th overall pick in the 2022 NFL draft. So when you take a guy like that, you have to be willing to accept the bumps and the bruises that go along with developing him, right? And fast forward to his first year in the NFL, he gets injured, right? And he's out essentially the entire year. He misses his entire rookie season. And when he returned from that injury at the end of last season, he injured himself again, and that injury would cause him to miss his entire offseason after his rookie year. And with a player like Trevor Penning, like that needs developed. Those reps, those in-game reps are so important. Those off-season reps are so important when he can really hone in on his craft. So with him missing all of that time, his sophomore season, which is the current season we're in now, is basically his rookie year. So the Saints decide to start him at left tackle this year, knowing this, knowing he didn't get the reps he needed. He did return for training camp, but that's not enough time. He didn't get the reps he needed last year, so they knew it was probably going to be rough. Now, week one against the Titans, he struggled. He was really bad. But each and every week after that, he got better and better and better in terms of pass protection, which was always his issue, right? Now, somewhere along the way, he did start to struggle with run blocking, which was always his strength. And allegedly, now, the reason Trevor Penning was benched was because his struggles in the run game. Now, Dennis Allen was asked why Trevor Penning was benched, and his answer was it was performance based and they didn't want to ruin any confidence that he had built up or something along those lines. And my question to Dennis Allen would be, you really think benching him is what's going to save his confidence? In my mind, and I may be wrong here, but I would think that benching the guy when he's getting better and better every week is what would ruin the kid's confidence. And I think we've seen that, when he got thrown out there in the fire when James Hurst, his replacement, got hurt. But let's talk about that for a minute. So, like I said, he struggles week one. Every week after that, he gets better and better and better, and the pressure's allowed. All the numbers say this, and the film says the same thing. I've watched every single snap this guy has played so far multiple times. And after your best offensive performance to date against the New England Patriots, when you win 34-0, like I said, best offensive performance to date, you decide to then make a change to bench him because of some struggles in the run game, running left. I mean, to me, in my opinion, benching Trevor Penning, the pros of benching Trevor Penning do not outweigh the cons of benching him. I don't think his struggles in the run game were impacting the game enough to warrant stunting his development. Like I said, remember, you take the guy in the first round knowing he's a project. You have to be willing to accept the bumps and the bruises along the way. So I don't think that his negative plays in the run game, which there were, he had some bad plays. I don't think they impacted the games enough to warrant benching him and stunting his development, especially when you continue to week after week employ a guy named Pete Carmichael who has negatively impacted this offense for almost 2 years now in a way worse way than any run play that Trevor Penning has been involved in. To me, that's hypocrisy at its finest. And then, like I said, after that Patriots game, after the offense had the best performance, you decide to bench him. And then you go into a game against the Houston Texans in which you decide to go back to James Hurst at left tackle. And in that game, Hurst ends up getting hurt. And what does that do? That puts Trevor Penning back in the fire. And it puts him back in the lineup after a week of getting benched where his confidence is completely destroyed because his coaches gave up on him. And it puts him back in the game after a week of practice where he had no first team reps. And guess what happened? He got destroyed. He played awful. I mean, if that's not a picture perfect example of stunting a guy's development, I don't know what is. And I think what a lot of people, don't really get is live reps are the only way for an offensive lineman to get better. These guys do not get the practice time or the reps that they need, under the new CBA because they're not really allowed to have that much contact with each other. And the only time they can get those real feel reps are in actual games. I look at a guy like, we can even go to Teron Armstead. Teron Armstead was awful his first 6 games, and then he ended up being one of the best tackles in the league for how, still is. And another guy, Andrew Thomas, Giants left tackle. He's been hurt this year, but his rookie season, he was terrible. I mean, he was awful. And then he comes back, he works, he works, he works, and now he's a top 5 left tackle in the league. So, to me, this is just it's coaching and organizational malpractice to draft this guy knowing he's a project, knowing he's going to need developed, and then after, not even half a season of live play, you say, "Nah, you know what? Never mind. Let's go back with James Hurst." To me, that's just the complete opposite way of how you should develop an offensive lineman. And I see a lot of people say move him to guard. Guys, the issues he have right now will only be magnified at that inside position, right? With quicker power rushers and stuff. He's huge. He don't really have the I mean, there's just so many intricacies that go into it. I promise Trevor Penning is a left tackle or a tackle in this league. Period. I still have faith that he can grow and become a good player. You know, but in my opinion, that's going to take some staff changes on the Saints side of things. I guess overall, I just like to ask Dennis Allen if you went into this season knowing his lease was this short, why even start the guy in the first place? If you truly feel like he can learn and grow better on the bench, which is what he said the other day when he was asked, if you feel like he can see the game from a different perspective on the bench, why even start the guy? Why even give him the chance to go out there and do bad and bench him and destroy his confidence? I don't get that part. Just start James Hurst from the get go. Let him learn on the bench. If although I disagree with it, but if that's how you felt, if he was on this short of a leash, why not just do that from the get go? Now, what I think happened is Dennis Allen knows his days are numbered, right? And he's doing any little thing he can do that could possibly save his job. Now he sees Penning not doing too well and it negatively impacting plays or whatever. So he's saying, look, we got to get this guy out of there ASAP because my job is on the line here. And you know what? If that's the case, fine. But that to me is kind of that's scummy. Like that's putting yourself over the future of a player. But again, it's Dennis Allen we're talking about here, Mr. 18 and 42. So hopefully whoever takes over for Dennis Allen can get this guy back rolling because I do think he still has all the potential in the world. I really do. And I'm standing on that. That's my word. Appreciate you guys watching as usual. Peace.